I said, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to figure out something. Something's out there for me. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm just gonna have to take a big old risk here that something is gonna work out. Now the thing is, when I was out of work, I ended up being out of work for 15 months. So that leap off the cliff was a little bit deeper down than I anticipated it. I knew it'd be a rough time just because, again, the state of the economy at the time. I didn't know it'd be that long, but I thought this is what's gonna have to keep me through. Just knowing that I made this decision, I have to hold on to it, I have to own it. There is gonna be something better out there. And lo and behold, eventually there was. And I've been in this job for a little over 2 years now, and I think, wow, I made it.
And Jeff, that during those 15 months, you really invested in improv. That's when I met you. And
Yeah, I was doing improv at the time, so that was a nice thing to have to put on the schedule. Okay, I need to be here this night and here this night. The rest of the week's wide open. But it was good to have that and good to fall back on. And I think just holding on to that jumping off the cliff thing really helped me, because I had a number of friends tell me during that time, wow, your attitude is really good despite what you've been through. And I thought, that's great. I didn't even realize it, but it's great that it came out and people could recognize it. So I felt very gracious that, okay, I'm sticking to my guns on this, and apparently it's working for me, and something's going to turn my way. And then sooner or later, it does.
cool. Thank you.
Okay, I wrote notes too. I feel like improv saved me, and my thing is recent. 11 weeks ago, I was assaulted by somebody I know in a familiar place, and it was like a side attack. And so once I realized what was happening, I basically kind of gave into the reality of what was going on and met that person in crazy land and agreed with the person and was like, yeah, I am that, or yes, I am this, or this is that, and basically the situation diffused. So I kind of yes-anded my way out of this thing. And when I got up and the person had retreated, I knew, I could get the fuck out of there. And so I did, and I drove myself to the ER, and the person was trying to choke me, And what ended up happening was I ended up having my shoulder shattered. And so I have a full fake, I like to call bionic arm, right up here now, metal. And I really feel like the quick thinking and this, for about 2 weeks, I went through the period where I'm like, oh my God, I should have known, what could I have done? And that's really, your brain does not like to think that it's completely out of control. So it likes to think up things that it can, what you could have, should have done. But there was no preventing it, because it was mental illness related, and you can't predict when people are going to lose their shit. It was like a ticking time bomb. And so I really feel like this, like 2 weeks into it, I all of a sudden I was like, you know what? The moment that I realized, oh my God, this person's trying to kill me, I was like, not today. And I started, taking action and stuff. And I feel like I got my power, and I feel like I know who I am, and I'm like you and probably everybody here. I have such a renewed, zest for life. I've got 2 kids and dog and a crazy situation going on right now, but I feel kind of fortunate that it happened. And it sounds crazy, and maybe I am crazy because I'm still 11 weeks, but I feel like I was excited. I thought I can go back to improv because I had to quit improv for a little bit, and it was like something to come back to. But I feel like my skills that I used, and I've got some theater background and performance background, but what I got out of it was like I knew what to do in the moment, and so now like nothing scares me. Like the scariest shit just happened to me, and I'm fine, and I'm moving on, and I want to be a survivor and not a victim of this kind of thing. And so so I just met Sarah yesterday. She and I, we were in a class together, but we didn't really know each other. And I mean, this is what happens. It's like you put yourself out there, you come out, you meet people that are the same, and it's kind of like magic. And what else was I wrote some notes. I did divert some my improv dollars to mental health. You know, went to and still see a therapist and stuff. And the one thing too that one thing that seemed funny to me, it's not really that funny, but when somebody's trying to kill you, you sometimes pee yourself. So I peed my pants, and I knew enough to like go change my pants before I drove myself to the ER. So that's that like clean underwear thing from mom. But I was like, I know. So I did that, and then because of it, I know I have amazing family, and I have an amazing support system, and I was so excited to dive back in, to this and explore the art form and be in this community. And I promise not to, if you want to play with me, I'm not gonna like offer a can of salt or every time we play, like a trauma or an improv. I don't want to do that, but I think that being able to laugh at this kind of stuff and be able to, like, you can't make it up when people are crazy. Like, you can, it is almost comical, it's sad and it's comical, but I feel like I found my strength, and I feel like I can do anything, and I feel really interested in figuring out what else do I like to do, so that's it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Andrea.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I like that I went last because I feel like I've been able to formulate my story. Might not have to revert to my notes, but so everybody talks about the dark times, and I kind of would need my cape right now too, because I feel like I'm getting out of it, but you kind of have to knock on wood when you say that, because my experiences are a little bit recent, and Sarah and Kate actually know part of mine, but I actually, in listening to everybody else, decided to rewind a little bit of my story, because I feel like the past 2 years of my life have been a little bit traumatic. So my personal, but it didn't start with me, because I thought 2011, I was like, that 2011 kind of sucked. It started right away in January with a big person that I supervised quitting, so I was doing 2 jobs, working 60 hours a week, and then my grandmother died, and that's sad. And then my uncle, who I'm very, very close to, was diagnosed with cancer, and not a very good type. It's a sarcoma, so could definitely come back, and that sucked. And then my grandfather died, and that sucked. I adopted a cat in there too, and yes, I will tell my story through my cat. And she had a lot of medical issues too. She was wearing a cone for like 2 months, and it sucks when you buy a comfort object. You're like, but you were supposed to be here for me, and what's going on with you? I'm on my 4th vet, okay? I could go on, but we'll just leave that. Her name's Gus, and she's wonderful, but. So my comfort object was freaking me out too, and my best friend had to move her mother into hospice cares, and so last 2011, you're like, that sucked. So actually, but my uncle was doing better, so we went to Arizona, where he lives, and we're like, 2012, new year, it'll be great. I went to Thailand in February. I get home from Thailand. I am, this is, I think, where my story starts to get funny, because I am doing what I do most of my life, which is sitting on my couch with my cat drinking wine. Because when you've been in an airport for 24 hours coming from Bangkok, you want to shower and you need to drink. And I'm exhausted because I'm staying in hostels, and so, because to jump ahead, I had breast cancer too. And everybody was like, oh my God, you were self-examining and you're so young, because yes, I'm under 30, and no, it doesn't run in my family. And so they're like, you were self-examining, and I was actually just itching my boob. And I noticed a lump. So and the doctor's like, good for you. I'm like, yeah, good. Anybody else itch like this? So I'm sitting on my couch, itched my boob, and I was like, I don't remember that being there. And then you feel everywhere else, and you're like, that's nowhere else. And so I called my best friend on the phone, and I was like, I don't know, this sounds kind of crazy, but I found a lump. But I don't really want to go to the doctor to have her tell me I have lumpy boobs and charge me $200. But she suggested that it was good idea. So I went to the doctor, and they said, oh, it's probably nothing. It might just be a boob cyst. I'm like, all right, so but go get it ultrasound.
That's the medical term.
Right. You can see I paid attention real hard through this whole. I'm like, I'm not a medical person either. Like, they're telling you you're these things, and like people want to know too. They're like, they want to know all the details. I'm like, I don't know if I quite get it. I don't know. So anyway, but I went and had an ultrasound done. I was like, I'm not gonna freak out unless they biopsy it. And since my uncle had cancer, I actually didn't tell anybody what was going on. Just my best friend knew. So and then they called me the next day when I was at work. And they're like, and it's like, this was my movie part. I had the idea to go stand in the hallway because I sit in a cube. So I was like, oh, I think this is the cancer, like this is the doctor call. So I called back and they're like, girl, no, I didn't. I was like, they're like, is now a good time? And you're like, oh,
What?
son of a bitch. I'm like, I'm at work. Can we call you later? No. You actually just need to tell me this news right now. And they're like, well, so you have breast cancer. I'm like, okay. So I actually told them I was gonna work the rest of the day. I was like, I'm fine. We're gonna talk later. I got a meeting, but okay. And then I sat down at my desk and I was like, I actually might cry, so I think I better go, because crying at work is actually against my rules. So I left, and so this year I ended up having breast cancer. And then actually in the course of this year, my best friend, both of her parents died. So this year sucked a little bit too. But
How did you get through with?
yeah, no, but it's funny because like even I saw a comedian recently, or a comedian actor, whatever, Henry Rollins.
Oh yeah.
Wits, I don't know if anybody goes to Wits, but he said something, and I think this is true, because people kind of tell me I'm funny, and like when I was telling people I have cancer, they're like, I'm laughing with you, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And he's like, I'm not a funny person, like I don't like come up with stuff. He goes, but I just perceive things as being funny, and I report them in that. So, and that's kind of how I am. Like, I love to laugh at things. I love to laugh at myself being awkward, other people being awkward, you know, and then even like sad things, because you're like, oh my God. So I told people, I'm like, I have breast cancer. I'm like, these little boobs never got a lot of attention, so the right one revolted, you know? Like, I don't know, it's just.
You have to laugh or you'll cry.
Yeah, but I don't even know, like, I mean, because I cried a decent amount, and you know, things are tough, but like, I like to laugh, and it's a thing that lifts it up, and like, some of these things are funny too, because I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna get a lot of pink shit, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's not my color, so it's wrong cancer for me. But yeah, so it's just things like that where you're like, you know, but it's like the silver lining sort of piece.
Yeah.
Like, it's not all bad. Like, yes, I had breast cancer, but you know, things could be worse, and some of these parts of it are funny. So I jokingly said, because I work with families with children with special needs, so a lot of them are in tough situations, and like, I think my life's been pretty easy as opposed to like the dark times recently. You know, I went to college, got it paid for by my parents, and all this good stuff. I'm like, whoa, look at this! I have street cred now. Cancer. It's gonna be a lot harder for people to like yell at me in anger, because it is like people, they won't be as mean to you when you have cancer, which is nice. You know, if they're angry, it's like, oh, I have cancer right now. Yeah. So.
A good guilt tactic.
It is, and you can't hide it actually. Like and that's why my hair is short, which is great, because people now actually think I did this on purpose, and unless they really press me for questions.
Well, I think you look like Natalie Portman. I think it's pretty great.
Or Sinead O'Connor. That's the other fun part about working with people with special needs, is they're very honest with how you look. So I've been told you look like Sinead O'Connor. Yeah, I know.
It's like the thing that I got from all your stories and my own story is life is absurd. I mean, when it rains, it pours. The shit just comes down, and it's like you have to step back and look at it and just laugh. It really is like an improv scene. Like, what else? What else is gonna go? I mean, from the moment I got diagnosed, it was funny, because my radiologist said, if it's nothing, a tech will call you. If it's something, I will call you. I said, okay, so when I hear your voice, I have cancer. Is that what you're telling me? That's what you're telling me. So she called me on my father's birthday, and I answered. She's like, hi.
to you like
Yep.
that.
And I was like, okay, what's the deal? Oh, it's awful! And she like started crying, and I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry it's hard for you, Doc. So, you know, I'm just like, and here we go on the absurd road. You know, we talked about courage. Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. And it sounds like, you know, we all did that. Is there a time, you know, there's a time for breaking out and crying, and there's a time for joking. And have you ever had a moment where you just notice, like, is this cathartic, or am I, like, is this therapy kind of gone wrong?
Yes. I had a therapy gone wrong moment. So the FBI raided my office. It was awesome that morning. I looked out at the parking lot and I'm like, what, is it Black Suburban Day? There was a period of 11 days between when we were raided by the FBI and when we were laid off. And there was a lot of gallows humor during that time, because like we had to turn in our paperwork to the feds at the end of the night. So we were like writing Post-it notes with fake code on them just to fuck with the guy. I mean, we were all just, it was so annoying. The mistake I made, I think, I took it just a little too far, because we all knew we were losing our jobs, and we held out because we hoped we'd get paid for those days that we worked. That never happened. But I one day was online and saw a picture of a guy with the sandwich board that says "The end is near," and I Xeroxed like 1,000 copies of it and started handing them out in the office. And people didn't really think it was funny. I did, but not everyone. Yeah, it can go wrong.
Oh, that's the, well, you kind of casually, I don't know about this, but you're like, people are like, oh, so what's going on with you? And you're like, oh, I have cancer, you know, and you're okay with that. Have you ever had the Insta cry person? That's a little bit gone wrong. It's like, I don't know, I thought it was funny, you don't? And they just start burst into tears, and you're like, okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think part of it is like an identity thing too, like when something shakes up who you are, and when people say, what are you up to, or how's it going, like I've like for months I would be like, I mean, I got hit by a car, you know, and I was just like, I was like the worst version of myself, because I'm like, I wanted to tell them, I'm not normally like this, I'm normally very enjoyable, but I'm going through a lot of pain that you can't see, so I'm going to be terrible. And I just felt like I was an awful person, and that's what I led with, was this kind of like, I've been hit by a car, so if I'm not super fun, you know, just like kind of an asshole thing, which I don't know if that like happens to anybody else, but I just was like, it was so all-consuming, where normally when people would be like, you know, what have you been up to? I'd be like, oh, all these activities and whatever, but then I'm like, well, I can't really do anything because I can't really move. But, well, I'm moving like this, but can't really do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you, for those who do improv or write or whatever, how has it changed for you from this experience that you've had, or has it?
I have an idea for a show or some kind of a performance where, after what happened to me, I was clinging to people that were coming to me saying, you know, something similar happened to them. I'm like, really, what else? You know, just, it was like I was in a club that I never wanted to be in with these other people. And so you know, what's happening to me is I'm thinking, and this could be therapy gone wrong too, you know, having a little show about the empowerment of it, not the, you know,
Victimization.
Nothing about victimization, but all about like, when did it flip and you became, you know, you found your power again, and you felt like worthy, and you felt good again, and so I feel like I'm motivated to collaborate with people or explore that a little bit more. And one of the things that keeps coming up to me, and this is probably therapy gone wrong too, but I've been somebody tried to choke me before, and so I was like, is there just something chokeable about me? So you guys laugh. It is kind of funny, but it's sad. And so yeah, I'm thinking about you know, cathartic, empowering stories, a platform for that, and I don't really know how that looks. So if anybody's interested in that, love to talk.
cynicism right out of me. I used to think I was funny in a jokey, sarcastic, bitey way. And when everything that you identify yourself by gets taken away from you, you're left with really the purity of what's there. I wasn't my job. I wasn't my role as wife and mother. I wasn't all those things I had defined myself for. There was a real purity. I was just this. I was a collection of thoughts. I was a collection of today's actions. And so I couldn't rely on all of the crutches. I couldn't rely on the cynicism. I couldn't rely on, I was past anger. I didn't even have the energy to have that left. And so I really think it changed my writing and my art in that it made it much, much more honest and much, much more pure and much, much less cynical and planned and angry. And I think that some of the kind of career rewards I've had since have been really a result of that.
It's funny. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I was gonna say it's funny that you should say, because I should have taken better notes. But like I think it's an energy thing too. Like I think it's so much more exhausting to be upset about things and to be like, oh my God, this sucks and this part sucks and this part sucks. And it was easier for me to like pick out the pieces that I thought were funny and laugh at them rather than spend my energy that I had on being sad about it.
Yeah, I feel like, my art, improv, whatever you want to call it.
You're genius.
I went into writing, and it just, you touch a deeper part of yourself when your life gets threatened, whether it be like, how am I going to eat tomorrow? And like, obviously I didn't have energy to improv during chemo. A, I didn't have energy. B, I didn't want to get up bald on stage and have people feel sorry for me. And I didn't know what was going to come out. But when I returned to improv, there was a lot of scenes where I'm like, you sent me a card for chemo. Like it was about like, a chemo-based scene. And I think we were in a show together, and I made a joke about cancer, and I think it's funny. Nobody else does, and I kind of want to like stop the scene and go, I had cancer, I can do this. It's funny. So my question is, your own process versus consideration for your audience, whether that be a friend that you're laughing with. I had a sister go, my sister, she's like, that's enough. That's enough joking.